Hello, today we're talking about 3-betting ace-queen when the flop, of course, doesn't come with an ace or a queen. The same can be applied for 3-betting ace-king without an ace or a king on the flop. This one triggers quite a few players. They're really happy to 3-bet those hands, think it's a strong hand, they'll make money, and then they realize once again the flop doesn't come, the ace or the queen, even though it happens 2/3 of the time. It's just very common not to hit your top pair. But still, people do not know what to do and play quite badly quite often. The reason for this are two. First, they do not understand where the EV comes from 3-betting those hands, and the second is a mental issue. When you have an expectation of 3-betting a good hands in a 3-bet pot, the pot is already a little bit stronger, you expect to win. You want to win, and then you just get disappointed. And then when you're disappointed, you don't think straight and make mistakes. There's a good analogy to the World Cup that I could use to help you explain the strategy of ace-queen when the flop misses your cards. But first, let's have a look at the EV so you understand what the expectations are. Here, 3-betting ace-queen on the button against the cutoff open, you're expected to win 0.32 big blinds, as you can see on the right. That's not much, is it? It's not like you're 3-betting ace-queen and you on average win 5 big blinds. No, it's just 0.32 big blinds. And sometimes you win quite a lot with these hands when you make top pair, full house, 2-pair, a set. So obviously sometimes you lose quite a bit of money with this hand, since the average you win is only 0.32 big blinds. Same when 3-betting it out of position on the small blind, we expect it to make 0.37 big blinds on average. And take this into account. When you 3-bet and your opponent folds, you will win the open raise, which in this case is 2.3 big blinds, plus the big blind, 3.3, and we keep our small blind, 0.5. So in total, we make 3.8 big blinds just by 3-betting and when they fold. And this happens, they are supposed to fold 2/3 of the times or more. So keep this in mind, and now let's look at it post-flop. Keep in mind that the average you win is 0.32 big blinds. Here we're in a situation where we are 3-betting on the small blind against the button this time, and then he calls and the flop comes 3-2 rainbow. Look at our strategy on the right. We will always need to know the strategy of our own range and then decide our specific hand, how good it is within the range and how it interacts with the board. Here we check 43% of the time because we are preferring to use larger sizes. There were back in the day many range c-bet strategies, and then you bet more often because you bet smaller. But since nowadays we realize the EV in this situation is larger bets, we can't just bet every hand. Our ace-queen will be mixed. It will sometimes bet and sometimes check. We will now look at the example where we check, and what I want you to realize is that our ace-queen here is still a relatively strong hand, because in a flop with 3-2-2, there is so much air that our opponent has. It's different than other flops that we will see soon. So if our opponent decides to bet small, you see the EV here for ace-queen, it is over 4 big blinds still that we are winning when they bet. So of course we have to call ace-queen here. You can't desperate yourself when you don't hit your pairs. You need to just think clear. How good is our ace-queen? You look at the flop, you see this flop, our opponent will have also a lot of times nothing. So our ace-queen is still good, and if the turn comes an ace or a queen, we dominate some of his hands. So take it slow, and now let's have a look at this flop. That is 8-7-6 with a flush draw. Our range is now completely green, and the situation has shifted a lot from the last one. I think you realize we have to check every single hand, even the flush draws, the straights, the sets, and the weak ones. Always check here because our opponent's range dominates our range. And I hope you realize that our ace-queen here is just a very trashy hand. So it is a lot different than on the other example. So we check, and our opponent, he has small betting sizes here. You see those sizes. He will choose a small size. So even if he goes for the 20% size, what do you think we are going to do with our ace-queen? Will it be a mandatory call or fold? Let's have a look. You see the EVs The EV is basically zero EV. You have to look whether you have some sort of backdoor flush draw or not. But you realize we are not making money anymore. Look at the strategy, we fold all the hands that are not having backdoor flush draws. Understand this, look at your hand, how strong is it? If it's trashy, no problem to fold, you don't lose anymore, you just lost what you invested pre-flop for the 3-bet. This is how poker works. Keep in mind that you have a strategy, and to understand and execute a strategy well, you need to know board interaction, how your ranges interact with this, your range and your opponent ranges. And then every single cards you have, every single hands will have a function. For example, at this flop, things change completely again. It is Jack 10 for rainbow. What are we supposed to do? The good old range c-bet strategy with a small size. You see, everything red means we always bet. So our ace queen, we will always c-bet small here. This is because, and now the analogy to football, we play as a team, and for the team we need to know the strength of every single player, so the strength of every single hand in this case. If overall our range can c-bet, you see that the EV of ace queen, you could also check. It's not like you make a lot more money by c-betting than checking. Look at the right. But because our hands together as a team are strong, we will always c-bet. It is, if you take the World Cup for example, you have Brazil, they will be attacking, they will be playing forward, try to score all the time, because everyone in the team is good. But if you take Poland, who are now playing against Argentina very soon, they have a very strong striker, Lewandowski, but the team is not that talented. So they just can't play forward, even though Lewandowski would like to. He would like to score a lot of goals, he has the quality. But because of the quality of the other players, they often need to sit back, maybe play counter-attack against stronger teams and make sure the other opponents don't just counter-attack themselves and score many goals. So understand the range, understand your team and the strategy, and then you'll be fine with ace-queen. You need to see that ace-queen has different functions always. On some boards, it will have to attack. You bet with it, you bluff with it, it's a strong hand, then you will make money with it. On other situations, your ace-queen has to go and play defensively. Check, maybe call when the size is small. And most importantly, understand that sometimes it's just a check, fold, give up. You're not supposed to always make money. By the way, I'm sorry I got confused here. It's not always a small c-bet. I thought we were in position. Out of position, you have larger sizes as well. But now let's have a look at the in-position strategies for the same boards quickly. And you'll understand that in position, that would have been a c-bet for a small side range. Out of position, you have larger sizes. Here, the first board we saw, the 3-2-2, our ace-queen again. It is now in our range relatively up, differently to the second board we saw before. So here we can again choose between a check back or a c-bet, but when you do check back, you need to realize that our hand is still up there in the range, depending on the turn card of course, and you will call many times. It is not a check to fold to every bet they make. Or to be honest, unless they go huge on every turn, we have to continue with the ace-queen, different to this board that we saw before. This board is so much stronger for our opponents, the 3-bet caller's range, that he is allowed to donk here 80% of the time. In real life, our opponents won't donk as often, so keep this in mind when thinking about your button strategy. But if in real life he's donking this often, even for the 1/3 size, we are realizing that now our ace-queen is a weak hand, and we are always folding it unless we have some sort of backdoor flush draw. In the offsuit case and also the suited case. So if you have hearts or diamonds, you'll continue, but otherwise you will always fold. I'm repeating myself, but you need to understand the strategy for aggressive poker. For this, you need to understand ranges. There's no point in thinking, oh, there's a lot of money in 3-bet pots, I always have to do and desperate yourself and try to bluff with hands you shouldn't. No. Be calm, think about your knowledge, and then execute your strategy. Now looking back at the last board, which I out of position said it's a small size c-bet, of course it's a large size c-bet sometimes as well, but in position, as you will see now, we always bet small. It's a range c-bet small, like you learned a couple of years ago, so often people c-bet small in 3-bet pots. Here it's even in theory the best option. Take a look at the EVs of your range, for example. You can see that the pot is 16 big blinds roughly, and your ace queen off is supposed to win 8 big blinds. So half of the pot is yours with ace queen, which is not that great of a hand, but obviously just with the c-bet we are putting him in a tough spot. And if he decides to re-raise, look at our strategy now, because of course every action requires different reaction. Now we will already start to fold quite a lot. We will keep going with the backdoor flush draws with the suited ace queens, and crucial thing to do is to look at our opponent's sizes. Here I chose the 20 big blind sizes, but if they go smaller, of course you will call your gut shot, and if they go larger, then you just call here the backdoor flush draws. They are plus EV, and the other ones, when it's very close, it's usually 0 EV. Then it's more important to take an exploitative strategy to understand whether our opponent is maybe over or under raising. To finish this video, let's have a quick look at the ace-queen suited strategy, because it's interesting as the all-in has the same EV as the call, and you will see that the strategy of the backdoor flush draws will be half the time call and half the time all-in. And even no backdoor flush draw, then it's half the time of fold and half the time all-in. The reason for this is that when you have strong hands that want to go all-in, you also need to find bluffs, and in this case the ace-king suited is a good candidate for the bluff, also considering the gut shot. So again, to conclude, when playing post-flop and not hitting the top pair, it is more difficult than, for example, 3-betting aces, because when you 3-bet aces, you either have something very strong, or if the flop is very dodgy, you realize it's not that great of a flop, but still you will have easy continues almost always. But the thing about ace-king and ace-queen is, it's not always easy. You need to study ranges, strategies, and then you will have an easier time to find out where exactly your ace-queen, your ace-king is standing, and follow the strategy. It is hard, but the main thing is, even though you get things wrong, is the mental game aspect of it. You understand that the EV of 3-betting those hands in the first place is not that high, and therefore post-flop you aren't supposed to always win this. Sometimes you will lose, often you will lose, and this is totally okay. Stay calm, play the poker you know to play. If you make a mistake, no problem. Just understand, you are not always winning in poker. Poker is a game of patience. If this is not the flop you wanted, maybe next time you'll get a better flop. Hope you enjoyed this video. Any questions or comments, leave a YouTube comment or contact me on the Discord or email address I left here in the YouTube description. In the YouTube description you'll also find a GTO Wizard link for a 10% discount in case you like the GTO Wizard platform that I'm using here for this video. If you have any questions about my coaching, I will take one more student in December, but since I'm primarily a poker player, I never coach more than I play, so maybe you'll have to start in January if someone is faster than you. And to be honest, I think it's actually good for you, because since I don't take too many students, I'll really know your level and my training will really be personalized to your needs. And finally, key takeaway from this video: keep calm, take it easy when you don't flop a great hand. You will make money with the next hand. See you in the next video. Bye bye.